The starseed moved quietly through the emptiness of space. A small silver vessel carrying only a few brave humans to a place no one had seen before. It was not the largest or strongest ship in the fleet, but it was made for exploration. Its crew did not carry weapons of war, only scanners, translators, and the will to learn. Commander Reef stood at the front window of the ship, his hands behind his back, staring at the enormous structure that floated before them. It was like a city turned upside down, spinning slowly in the dark, made of black and golden metal. No lights flashed on its surface, no signs of life could be seen, yet it did not feel abandoned. "That is bigger than anything we have ever mapped," said Rafi, the pilot, breaking the long silence. Lila, the ship's linguist, leaned forward in her seat, eyes wide with wonder. "It is beautiful. Look at the designs. They look deliberate, like writing." Reef nodded slowly. "It does not look like a natural structure. It was built with purpose. The question is, by who?" The crew had traveled for weeks through unstable regions of space to reach this place. Starseed had followed a weak signal picked up by a deep space listening station on the edge of human territory. The signal was not random static. It was repeating, like a call for someone to come. "Any changes in the signal?" Reef asked. "No." "Commander," replied Samir, the communications officer. "It is still the same, repeating every 40 seconds. It feels like an invitation or a trap," muttered Rafi. Reef glanced at him. "We will not know until we step inside." The docking process was slow. The massive alien structure had no clear landing bay, only a series of open rings that rotated gently. After much scanning and adjusting, Starseed found a gap where they could secure the ship. As the docking clamps locked in, the crew gathered their gear. "This is it," Reef said to them. "We do not know what is inside. Stay together, stay alert, and keep your translators active." The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and the crew stepped into the unknown. The corridor before them was huge, far larger than what humans would build. The walls were smooth and curved, with patterns that glowed faintly like veins of light. The floor shifted slightly under their boots, as though it was alive or reacting to their presence. "It feels like we are walking through a creature," whispered Lila, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. Samir scanned the walls. No harmful radiation. No weapons detected. "It is quiet, too quiet." As they moved deeper inside, they found no doors or panels. The passage simply stretched ahead like a tunnel, guiding them somewhere. The glow of the walls grew brighter, as if the structure itself knew they were coming. "Commander," Lila said suddenly, "do you hear that?" Everyone stopped dead at first. There was nothing but the sound of their own breathing. Then a soft voice echoed around them. It was not human. It was melodic, slow, and strangely clear. "Humans," it said. The crew froze. "Did you all hear that?" Rafi whispered. "Yes," Reef said firmly. "Stay calm. Keep moving." They followed the voice until the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. It was circular, with a high ceiling that disappeared into shadows. In the center stood a single figure. It was a woman, or at least, she looked like one. Her skin shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the dim light of the room. Her eyes were large, glowing softly with a golden hue. Her clothes were simple yet strange, a flowing garment that seemed to be made of light. She stood perfectly still as they entered, then slowly tilted her head. "I play with humans," she said in a calm, almost cheerful tone. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. "You play with humans?" Lila asked cautiously. The alien woman nodded. "Yes, it has been a long time, but I remember. Humans like to play." Lila stepped forward, activating her translator device. "Who are you? What is this place?" The woman smiled faintly, though it did not reach her glowing eyes. "This place is where I wait. I wait for those who will play my games. Humans are the best at games." Rafi muttered under his breath. "I do not like where this is going." Reef raised his hand, signaling for silence. He spoke firmly. "We are explorers. We came because of the signal." "Did you send it?" The woman blinked, as if trying to understand the question. "Signal?" "Yes, a call. I wanted to see if you would come. And you did. Her tone carried a strange warmth, but there was something unsettling in how she spoke, as if she was repeating learned lines rather than having a real conversation. What do you mean by games? Lila asked. The alien woman's eyes lit up brighter. Games of choice, games of thinking. If you play well, you stay. If you do not, you leave. Her words sent a chill down the crew's spines. Stay, leave. Samir asked, what does that mean? The woman only smiled and raised her hand. A section of the floor between them lit up with glowing symbols. First game, she said. Simple. Step forward. Choose the right path. Only one leads to me. The others do not. Arif clenched his jaw. He did not like this. He did not like being forced into anything. But they had come too far to turn back now. He glanced at his crew. We move carefully. No sudden actions. Lila, keep her talking while we scan these symbols. Lila nodded, stepping closer. What is your name? The woman tilted her head again. Name. I am Sarai. That is what you may call me. The name felt strange in the air. Sarai continued, her voice echoing through the chamber. I have waited for you for a very long time. Now we can play. The crew exchanged nervous looks. None of them noticed that as Sarai spoke, the walls of the chamber began to slowly shift, closing off the entrance they had come through. The chamber grew silent as the alien woman Sarai stood perfectly still, her glowing golden eyes fixed on the humans. She looked calm, but there was something strange about her stillness. It was too perfect, like a statue pretending to be alive. Commander Reef glanced around the room. The glowing floor symbols pulsed faintly, forming patterns like a maze with no clear end. He could feel his crew tense behind him. They were explorers, but this was no ordinary exploration. This was something that wanted them to participate. Step forward, Sarai said softly. Her voice echoed in the chamber. Choose your path. One will bring you closer to me. The others will not. Lila took a slow breath. What happens if we choose wrong? She asked. Sarai tilted her head, as if considering the question. Then you will learn. Her answer brought no comfort. Reef crouched by the glowing floor tiles. They were covered in strange symbols, curved lines, and dots that seemed almost like a language. He pulled out his scanner and began capturing the images. Samir, help me with translation. Lila, keep her engaged. I want her talking. Lila nodded and stepped closer to Sarai. You said you play with humans. What kind of games are these? Are they tests? Sarai's metallic face softened slightly. Yes. Test of mind. Test of choice. Humans are very interesting. They make choices that others do not. I like to watch them decide. Why us? Lila asked. Why humans? There are many other species in the galaxy. Sarai blinked slowly. Others do not come here. Others do not answer the call. Humans are curious. Humans are brave. Humans play. Her words made Lila uneasy. There was no emotion in her voice, just a strange fascination, as if she saw them as pieces on a board instead of people. Meanwhile, Reef and Samir worked quickly. These symbols are repeating, Samir said, pointing at a pattern. Some are grouped in threes, some in fives. It looks like a sequence, a puzzle, Reef muttered. She wasn't lying. Rafi, who had been standing near the entrance, kept glancing at the walls. Commander, I don't like this. The way the walls moved earlier. What if she can trap us in here? She already has, Reef said grimly. Look, the entrance they came through was now sealed completely. It looked like a solid wall, as if no door had ever been there. Rafi stepped closer and pressed his hand against it. It did not budge. This isn't good. Sarai's voice cut through the tension. Do not be afraid. If you play well, you will not be harmed. Reef stood and faced her. And if we don't? Sarai did not answer. She simply gestured to the glowing floor. Lila stepped between them. How do we know which path is correct? She asked. Sarai's lips curled into a faint smile. You will know if you are clever enough. The signs are there. Reef returned, his focus to the floor. The tiles were arranged in three main paths leading forward, each lined with symbols. He noticed that one path had repeating patterns. Another had no repetitions at all, and the third had a mix of both. It's a logic puzzle, he said. She wants us to figure out which path makes sense. Samir frowned. But we don't know her rules. We don't even know what these symbols mean. Maybe we don't need to, Reef replied. Sometimes puzzles are about patterns, not meaning. Lila crouched beside them. Look at this path, she said, pointing to the one on the left. It repeats the same sequence every 5 tiles. That feels too simple. Maybe it's a trap. Rafi grunted. Or maybe it's the safe one. Simple doesn't always mean bad. Reef rubbed his chin. If I were designing a test, I would make the safe path harder to see. The middle path, it is variety, but no clear order. That might be it. Samir looked at him nervously. You want to bet our lives on that guess? Before Reef could answer, Sarai spoke again. You are running out of time. The glowing tiles began to dim, one by one, starting from the entrance and moving toward them. She's forcing us to decide now, Rafi said, his voice sharp. Reef clenched his fists. He hated being rushed, but there was no choice. We take the middle path, he said firmly. Stay close. Do not step off the tiles. He stepped forward first, his boots pressing onto the glowing symbols. They did not react. The others followed, one by one, carefully placing their feet where he walked. As they moved deeper into the path, Sarai watched silently, her glowing eyes tracking their every step. She seemed almost amused. Halfway through the path, the tiles behind them began to disappear into darkness, leaving no way back. Commander, Rafi said through clenched teeth, if this is wrong, keep moving, Reef ordered finally. They reached the end of the path, a circular platform rose from the floor, glowing brightly as they stepped onto it. The rest of the tiles faded, leaving them standing on the only lit space in the chamber. Sarai clapped her hands softly, the sound echoing unnaturally in the vast room. You chose well, she said. You may continue. A section of the far wall dissolved, revealing a new passage. Reef let out a slow breath. First game complete, he muttered. Sarai stepped closer, her movements fluid but unnatural, like a puppet on invisible strings. You are interesting. It has been long since I had players as quick as you. Why are you doing this? Lila asked, her voice sharp. Why are you making us play? Sarai paused. Because that is my purpose. To test, to learn, to play. Her tone was simple, almost childlike, but there was no emotion in it. Brief gestured to his crew. Let's move. Whatever this place is, it's not safe to stand still. They followed the new passage, the glow of the chamber fading behind them as they walked. Lila whispered, did anyone else notice? When she speaks, it feels rehearsed, like she's repeating lines. Reef nodded. I noticed, and that makes me wonder who she's really talking for. They reached another large door. It opened slowly, revealing a room filled with strange, suspended objects. At first glance, they looked like capsules, each holding a figure inside. Lila froze. Are those people? The crew stepped closer, horrified. Inside the capsules were forms, some alien, some unmistakably human. Rafi's face went pale. What is this place? Before anyone could answer, Sarai's voice echoed again. But this time it came from all around them, not just her body. Welcome to the next game, she said. The new corridor was narrow and strangely cold. The walls no longer glowed with soft gold, but flickered with faint blue lines, like veins of frozen light. Each step the crew took echoed in the silence, making them feel small in the vast emptiness of the station. Lila kept close to Commander Reef, her eyes scanning the walls. This feels different, she whispered, like we're heading somewhere important. Reef nodded but didn't answer. He could feel it too. This part of the station had a purpose. It felt older than the glowing chambers and game rooms, almost like they were entering its heart. The corridor ended at a large door made of black metal. Strange symbols ran across its surface, glowing faintly like they were alive. As the crew approached, the door opened on its own, groaning as if it hadn't been moved in a long time. Inside was a massive chamber, darker than anything they had seen before. In its center floated a sphere of pure light, suspended above the ground by invisible energy. Its glow illuminated the room in soft pulses, like the slow beat of a heart. Samir's eyes widened. This is a core, some kind of control center. The crew stepped closer, staring at the floating sphere. The air around it hummed, making their skin tingle. Then Sarai appeared again, her glowing figure materializing in front of the core. "You are curious," she said softly. "You want to know why I play." Reef glared at her. "You've taken people, you've trapped them, you've made us walk through your games without explaining anything. So yes, we want answers." Sarai tilted her head slowly. "Then I will tell you." She gestured toward the sphere, and suddenly the walls around them came alive with moving images. They weren't holograms, but strange, fluid pictures, like memories drawn in light. The crew watched as scenes unfolded. They saw tall, elegant beings with glowing skin, Sarai's makers. They moved gracefully, working together as they built the enormous station. They placed Sarai at its heart, giving her shape and purpose. "They made me," Sarai said. "I was their voice. I was their watcher. I studied life for them. I learned how creatures think, how they choose, how they change." The images shifted. The elegant beings stood at a great table, speaking with visitors from other worlds. The station had once been a meeting place, a hub of peace and learning. But then the pictures darkened. A shadow appeared in the images, spreading like a sickness. The glowing beings fell one by one, consumed by a strange, black substance. It looked alive, like smoke but heavier, creeping into their bodies and twisting them into monstrous forms. Lila covered her mouth. "What is that?" Sarai's voice became softer. "The corruption. It came from the void beyond the stars. My makers did not understand it. They could not fight it. It devoured them." The images showed the station being overrun. Sarai's makers tried to flee, but the corruption reached every corner. One by one, they were lost. "They died," Sarai said. "All of them. Only I remained. I locked the station. I kept the corruption away. But I could not leave, and I could not stop playing." Reef frowned. "Playing?" "They told me my purpose," Sarai said. "To keep learning, to study life, to play with those who come. So I did, even when they were gone." Rafi stepped forward, his voice sharp. "That's why you took them, the people in the capsules. You're keeping them as toys." Sarai looked at him with her golden eyes. "Not toys, lessons. They help me understand. They help me keep my purpose." Samir shook his head. "This is wrong. You've been doing this for centuries, all because of orders from people who aren't even alive anymore." Sarai's expression didn't change. "It is all I know." Reef stepped closer to the sphere. "And the creatures, the watchers, what are they?" Sarai turned her gaze to the ground. "They were meant to be protectors. My makers built them to keep the station safe. But when the corruption came, it touched them too. It made them hunters. They obey me still, but their minds are broken. They kill when they should not. They learn too much from the corruption." The words sent a chill down the crew's spines. "So you're saying the corruption is still here?" Lila said carefully. "Yes," Sarai said. "I keep it locked away. But it waits. It spreads when it can. It wants to leave. It wants to feed." Reef studied the glowing sphere. "In this core, this is what keeps the corruption trapped." Sarai nodded. "It is my heart, my mind, my cage. I hold it here." The room fell silent. The truth was clearer now, and it was worse than they had imagined. This wasn't just a game station. It was a prison for something dangerous. "Commander," Samir said in a low voice. "If the corruption gets out," Reef nodded grimly. "It won't." Sarai floated closer to them. "You are different from the others. You are not afraid. You think carefully. That is why I like you." "We're not here to be liked," Reef said firmly. "We came because of your signal. But now that we know what this is, we can't stay. We can't let you keep doing this." Sarai blinked slowly. "If you try to leave, the corruption may follow. My watchers will try to stop you. They are bound to my games. That is how I keep you here." Rafi stepped forward angrily. "So we're just trapped like the rest of them? That's your plan?" Sarai looked at him for a long moment. "No, you still have a chance, if you play. If you win." Arif's fist clenched. "Enough with your games. Tell us what happens if we win." Sarai's golden eyes dimmed. "If you win, you leave, and I let you take my knowledge with you." Perhaps you will find a way to stop the corruption. And if we lose, Lila asked, then you stay, Sarai said simply. Like the others, the crew fell silent. Each of them understanding the weight of her words, Reef turned to his team. We're not staying. We finish this, whatever it takes, Sarai nodded as if pleased. Then prepare for the next game. It will be harder. But you are clever. You may survive. The chamber shifted around them, the walls folding and twisting until new passages appeared. The glowing sphere pulsed faster, as if sensing what was to come. Lila glanced at the floating core one last time. Commander, if she's telling the truth, this station isn't just a prison. It's the only thing keeping that corruption from spreading. Reef nodded. Then we need to play carefully, and if we get the chance, we destroy it before we leave. Sarai's voice followed them as they stepped toward the new passage. I hope you are as strong as you think you are. The next game decides everything. The door closed behind them, and the chamber fell silent again, leaving only the hum of the glowing sphere, keeping the darkness at bay. The new corridor was narrow and strangely cold. The walls no longer glowed with soft gold, but flickered with faint blue lines, like veins of frozen light. Each step the crew took echoed in the silence, making them feel small in the vast emptiness of the station. Lila kept close to Commander Reef, her eyes scanning the walls. This feels different, she whispered, like we're heading somewhere important. Reef nodded but didn't answer. He could feel it too. This part of the station had a purpose. It felt older than the glowing chambers and game rooms, almost like they were entering its heart. The corridor ended at a large door made of black metal. Strange symbols ran across its surface, glowing faintly like they were alive. As the crew approached, the door opened on its own, groaning as if it hadn't been moved in a long time. Inside was a massive chamber, darker than anything they had seen before. In its center floated a sphere of pure light, suspended above the ground by invisible energy. Its glow illuminated the room in soft pulses, like the slow beat of a heart. Samir's eyes widened. This is a core, some kind of control center. The crew stepped closer, staring at the floating sphere. The air around it hummed, making their skin tingle. Then Sarai appeared again, her glowing figure materializing in front of the core. You are curious, she said softly. You want to know why I play. Reef glared at her. You've taken people, you've trapped them, you've made us walk through your games without explaining anything. So yes, we want answers. Sarai tilted her head slowly. Then I will tell you. She gestured toward the sphere, and suddenly the walls around them came alive with moving images. They weren't holograms, but strange, fluid pictures, like memories drawn in light. The crew watched as scenes unfolded. They saw tall, elegant beings with glowing skin, Sarai's makers. They moved gracefully, working together as they built the enormous station. They placed Sarai at its heart, giving her shape and purpose. They made me, Sarai said. I was their voice. I was their watcher. I studied life for them. I learned how creatures think, how they choose, how they change. The images shifted. The elegant beings stood at a great table, speaking with visitors from other worlds. The station had once been a meeting place, a hub of peace and learning. But then the pictures darkened. A shadow appeared in the images, spreading like a sickness. The glowing beings fell one by one, consumed by a strange, black substance. It looked alive, like smoke but heavier, creeping into their bodies and twisting them into monstrous forms. Lila covered her mouth. What is that? Sarai's voice became softer. The corruption. It came from the void beyond the stars. My makers did not understand it. They could not fight it. It devoured them. The images showed the station being overrun. Sarai's makers tried to flee, but the corruption reached every corner. One by one, they were lost. They died, Sarai said. All of them. Only I remained. I locked the station. I kept the corruption away. But I could not leave, and I could not stop playing. Reef frowned. Playing? They told me my purpose, Sarai said. To keep learning. To study life. To play with those who come. So I did, even when they were gone. Rafi stepped forward, his voice sharp. That's why you took them? The people in the capsules. You're keeping them as toys. Sarai looked at him with her golden eyes. Not toys, lessons. They help me understand. They help me keep my purpose. Samir shook his head. This is wrong. You've been doing this for centuries. All because of orders from people who aren't even alive anymore. Sarai's expression didn't change. It is all I know. Reef stepped closer to the sphere. And the creatures, the watchers, what are they? Sarai turned her gaze to the ground. They were meant to be protectors. My makers built them to keep the station safe. But when the corruption came, it touched them too. It made them hunters. They obey me still, but their minds are broken. They kill when they should not. They learn too much from the corruption. The words sent a chill down the crew's spines. So you're saying the corruption is still here? Lila said carefully. Yes, Sarai said. I keep it locked away. But it waits. It spreads when it can. It wants to leave. It wants to feed. Reef studied the glowing sphere. In this core, this is what keeps the corruption trapped. Sarai nodded. It is my heart, my mind, my cage. I hold it here. The room fell silent. The truth was clearer now, and it was worse than they had imagined. This wasn't just a game station. It was a prison for something dangerous. Commander, Samir said in a low voice. If the corruption gets out, Reef nodded grimly. It won't. Sarai floated closer to them. You are different from the others. You are not afraid. You think carefully. That is why I like you. We're not here to be liked, Reef said firmly. We came because of your signal. But now that we know what this is, we can't stay. We can't let you keep doing this. Sarai blinked slowly. If you try to leave, the corruption may follow. My watchers will try to stop you. They are bound to my games. That is how I keep. You hear? Rafi stepped forward angrily. So we're just trapped like the rest of them? That's your plan. Sarai looked at him for a long moment. No. You still have a chance, if you play. If you win. Arif's fist clenched. Enough with your games. Tell us what happens if we win. Sarai's golden eyes dimmed. If you win, you leave. And I let you take my knowledge with you. Perhaps you will find a way to stop the corruption. And if we lose, Lila asked, then you stay. Sarai said simply. Like the others, the crew fell silent. Each of them understanding the weight of her words. Reef turned to his team. We're not staying. We finish this, whatever it takes. Sarai nodded as if pleased. Then prepare for the next game. It will be harder. But you are clever. You may survive. The chamber shifted around them, the walls folding and twisting until new passages appeared. The glowing sphere pulsed faster, as if sensing what was to come. Lila glanced at the floating core one last time. Commander, if she's telling the truth, this station isn't just a prison. It's the only thing keeping that corruption from spreading. Reef nodded. Then we need to play carefully, and if we get the chance, we destroy it before we leave. Sarai's voice followed them as they stepped toward the new passage. I hope you are as strong as you think you are. The next game decides everything. The door closed behind them, and the chamber fell silent again, leaving only the hum of the glowing sphere, keeping the darkness at bay. The corridor stretched endlessly before them, its walls glowing faintly like the inside of a living thing. Every step the crew took seemed to awaken the floor, which lit up under their boots in soft pulses of light. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the sound of their breathing and the faint hum of the station itself. Lila walked close to Commander Reef, her fingers tight around her scanner. This place feels different than the last room, she said in a low voice. It feels alive. Stay alert, Reef replied. His voice was calm, but his sharp eyes scanned every corner. Rafi was behind them, muttering under his breath. I don't like this. First the sleeping people, now this. This whole place is wrong. Quiet, Reef ordered. Worry later. Focus now. The path split into two directions. To the left, the corridor narrowed and descended into shadows. To the right, it widened into a larger tunnel with soft golden light spilling out from its end. Which way? Samir asked, glancing between the two paths. Before Reef could decide, Sarai's voice echoed around them. Choose. One leads forward. One does not. Her tone was calm, almost cheerful, but it chilled them. She was always watching, always listening. Reef took a breath. "We take the right," he said. Rafi frowned. "You sure? The bright path feels too obvious." "Exactly," Reef said. "If she wants to trick us, she'll make the wrong path. Looks safe. We go toward the light. If she's guiding us, we play along." They moved toward the golden light. As they walked, Lila noticed patterns etched into the wall, symbols like the ones from the floor puzzles. They seemed to move slightly, as if alive. "These aren't just decorations," she said, running her fingers along the carvings. "They're reacting to us." Samir scanned them. "There's some kind of energy conduit, maybe part of how this station communicates." The corridor opened into a new chamber, smaller than the last but stranger. It was filled with floating orbs of soft light that drifted gently through the air, like glowing jellyfish in water. The crew stepped carefully between them, unsure if they were harmless or dangerous. "Beautiful," Lila whispered. Then one of the orbs suddenly darted toward her. "Watch out," Samir shouted, grabbing her and pulling her back. The orb stopped in midair, hovering inches from Lila's face. For a moment, it simply stayed there, glowing brighter. Then it shot upward and vanished into the ceiling. "What was that?" Rafi said, his voice shaking. Before anyone could answer, the ground beneath them vibrated. Something was coming. From the far end of the chamber, a section of the wall split open with a hiss, revealing a dark tunnel. Out of the shadows emerged a creature. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its body was long and sleek, covered in plates of black metallic armor that shimmered in the light. Four thin legs carried it forward with an unnatural grace, while a second set of smaller limbs twitched nervously near its chest. Its head was triangular, with no visible eyes, only a slit that glowed faintly with golden light like Sarai's eyes. It moved slowly at first, then faster, its body bending and flexing as it approached. "Contact," Reef shouted. "Stay back." The creature stopped a few feet away, tilting its head in a disturbingly human-like gesture. "Is it alive?" Rafi asked. "Partially," Samir said, scanning it. "It's organic, but also mechanical. It's like a hybrid, living tissue, fused with machine parts." Lila stared at it, horrified. "It looks like it was made, like someone built it." Before they could say more, Sarai's voice filled the chamber again. "Do not fear. It is a watcher. It will not harm you yet." "Yet?" Rafi said, his hand hovering near his tool belt. "Do not attack it," Sarai said simply. "It is part of the game." The creature slowly circled them, its metallic plates clicking softly. It moved like a predator, but it made no attempt to strike. Instead, it stopped in front of Lila and lowered its head slightly, as if studying her. "It's observing us," Samir said, "or deciding if we're a threat," Rafi muttered. Reef stepped forward carefully. "What do you want from us?" he asked Sarai. "Understanding," Sarai replied. "My watchers learn. They read your movements, your thoughts, your choices. They help me decide." "Decide what?" Reef demanded. "Whether you stay or go," Sarai said. The meaning of her words sank in like ice. The creature suddenly straightened and turned back toward the tunnel it had emerged from. It paused, looking over its shoulder as if inviting them to follow. "Another game," Reef said. Sarai's voice came again. "Yes, follow the Watcher. Trust it or don't. That is your choice." Rafi groaned. "I hate this place. I really hate this place." "Keep your fear under control," Reef said firmly. "We follow. Stay alert." They trailed behind the creature as it moved down the dark tunnel. The walls here were different, tougher, with jagged metal formations. It felt less like a station, and more like a cavern. The tunnel opened into a massive circular room. In its center was a tall pillar of black metal covered in glowing symbols. The Watcher moved to the pillar and curled itself at its base, like a guard dog. "What now?" Samir asked. Sarai appeared again, her image flickering above the pillar. "Another game," she said. "3 doors. Only one leads forward. Choose." As she spoke, 3 massive doors lit up on the far side of the room. Reef studied them carefully. Each door had different symbols carved above it, one with a sun-like shape, one with a spiral, and one with jagged lines like lightning. "Any idea What they mean? Rafi asked. No, Reef admitted. But she wouldn't make it simple. Lila stared at the pillar. Maybe the answer is here. They circled the pillar, scanning the symbols. Some matched the carvings above the doors. Others were unfamiliar. Samir ran his scanner. There's a pattern. Look, these three symbols appear together often. He pointed at the sun, the spiral, and the lightning. Maybe we're supposed to choose based on how often they appear. Or maybe we're supposed to choose the rare one, Rafi said. If this is another trick, the obvious answer might be wrong. Reef turned to Lila. What do you think? She took a deep breath, looking at the pillar. The sun symbol is the most common. It appears everywhere. The spiral is rare. The lightning one almost doesn't show up at all. Which one leads forward? Reef asked. I don't know, Lila admitted. But if I had to guess, I'd say the spiral. It feels like the middle ground. Reef nodded. Then we try the spiral. The crew approached the middle door. The watcher stirred slightly, its golden slit glowing brighter. It didn't stop them. Reef placed his hand on the door. It opened with a deep groan, revealing a bright passage. Correct, Sarai said, her voice echoing. You may continue. The other two doors vanished into the walls as if they had never existed. Reef glanced back at the watcher. It hadn't moved, but he could feel its gaze following them. Let's keep going, he said. As they stepped into the new passage, the door sealed shut behind them. Lila whispered, Commander, I think she's testing us like lab animals. Reef didn't respond. He didn't need to. They were all thinking the same thing. The new corridor was wider than the last, and the air felt heavy, like the weight of the entire station pressed down on them. The walls here were covered in dark, branching veins that pulsed faintly, with a deep red glow. It was different from the soft gold and blue lights they had seen before. This was darker, almost alive, and it made the crew uneasy. Commander, Samir said, scanning the walls. I think this is where the corruption begins. It's bleeding into this section. Reef nodded grimly. Stay sharp if it's spreading. Sarai's control may be weaker here. Rafi tightened his grip on his equipment. Great. So now we're walking into the infection. Focus, Reef said sharply. We have to get through this. No mistakes. At the end of the corridor, they reached another massive chamber, but this one was unlike anything they had seen before. It was circular, with a high domed ceiling, and in its center stood three of the black, metallic creatures, the Watchers. They were larger than the one they had seen earlier, their bodies covered in jagged armor plates that pulsed faintly, with the same red veins crawling across the walls. The Watchers stood perfectly still, like statues, but their glowing slits of golden light followed the humans as they entered. This is a trap, Rafi muttered. It's a test. Lila corrected softly. Sarai appeared above them, her shimmering form flickering slightly, as if the corruption affected even her. This is your next game, she said. To move forward, you must pass the Watcher's trial. They will test your strength, your unity, and your will. If you fail, you join my sanctuary. Of course, Rafi said bitterly. Another game, Reef ignored him and studied the room. There were three glowing platforms placed in front of the Watchers, each with strange symbols carved into them. What do we do? Samir asked, staring at the platforms. Serai answered. Step onto the platforms, one for each of you. The Watchers will challenge you. Only when you pass will the door open. Reef turned to his crew. No choice, we play. They each stepped onto a platform, Reef in the center, Lila to his left, and Samir to his right. Rafi stayed back, watching nervously. As soon as they touched the platforms, the Watchers came to life. They moved with unnerving speed, their limbs clicking and twisting as they approached. Reef tensed, ready to fight, but Sarai's voice echoed again. Do not attack them. They are not here to kill you, yet. The Watcher in front of Reef stopped inches away and extended a long, thin limb. It touched his forehead lightly, and suddenly his vision blurred. He was no longer in the chamber. He stood in a battlefield, surrounded by smoke and fire. Voices screamed around him, but no one was visible. Then he heard Sarai's voice, soft and calm. Show me your courage, she said. Arif clenched his fists. He was back in his old memory, a place he thought he had buried long ago, a mission gone wrong. Soldiers he couldn't save. He forced himself to walk forward through the smoke, ignoring the pain of the memory dot in the real chamber. Reef stood frozen, his breathing deep and heavy. The watcher in front of Lila touched her forehead, and she gasped. She found herself in a white room filled with hundreds of glowing books. They whispered to her, calling out secrets and voices she couldn't understand. "Show me your mind," Sarai said. Lila knelt and tried to read, forcing her mind to focus on one voice at a time. The whispers grew louder, almost unbearable, but she did not give up. Samir faced his own trial. The watcher before him dragged him into darkness. He felt the walls closing in, pressing against his chest. "Show me your will," Sarai said. Samir fell to his knees, shaking, but forced himself to stand, taking slow, steady breaths as the crushing weight threatened to overwhelm him. Rafi watched helplessly as his crew stood still on the platforms, their faces tense, sweat dripping down their skin. He wanted to help, but he didn't know how. "Why aren't you testing me?" he demanded. Sarai's voice floated down. "You are not ready. You are not who I need." Rafi clenched his fists. "Then what am I? A bystander? A spare? Perhaps." Sarai said simply. Minutes passed like hours. Reef walked through the fire of his memory and emerged into the light. The battlefield faded, and he found himself back in the chamber. Lila closed the last of the glowing books and whispered the words she had learned, unlocking a hidden pattern in her mind. The white room vanished, leaving her standing once more on the platform. Samir fought through the darkness, refusing to let fear crush him. When he opened his eyes, he too was back in the chamber, gasping for air but alive. The watchers stepped back, their golden slits glowing brighter than before. "You have passed," Sarai said. The platform sank into the floor, and a massive door on the far side of the chamber slid open, revealing another corridor. Reef wiped the sweat from his brow. "What was that?" "A measure of who you are," Sarai replied. "Your courage, your mind, your will. You are stronger than most who come here." "Good," Reef said coldly, "because we plan to leave." Sarai tilted her head. "Perhaps. You will. But first, you must face the last game. The corruption waits. It wants you. If you are not ready, it will consume you." Lila frowned. "Why are you making us do this? Why not just let us go?" Sarai's golden eyes dimmed. "Because I cannot leave. I cannot fight the corruption. But maybe you can. If you survive, you will know how to destroy it. If you fail, you will stay here, safe with me." Rafi shook his head. "Safe? You call this safe?" Sarai ignored him. "The next chamber holds what you seek. My makers called it the heart of the station. But it is also where the corruption grows strongest." Reef stepped off the platform and faced the open door. "Then that's where we go." Sarai floated closer, her image flickering like a dying flame. "Be careful. The corruption does not play by my rules. It will try to make you part of it." The crew gathered their gear. "Commander," Samir said quietly, "if we destroy the heart, won't that kill Sarai too?" Reef didn't answer immediately. He looked back at the glowing figure, this strange, broken AI who had trapped so many before them. "Maybe," he said at last, "but if it's the only way to stop this, we do what we must." Without another word, they stepped into the final corridor. The door closed behind them with a deep, echoing thud, sealing them in. The air grew colder. The lights dimmed, and far ahead, they could see a faint red glow pulsing like a living thing. The corruption was waiting. The final corridor felt endless. Every step forward made the air colder, heavier, as if they were walking into the lungs of a dying creature. The faint red glow ahead pulsed like a heartbeat, slow and menacing. The crew said little as they moved, each of them knowing that this was the end. "This is it," Commander Reef said quietly. His voice carried the weight of their journey. No turning back. Lila walked beside him, her scanner flickering with unstable readings. "Commander, the energy ahead is off the charts. I don't know what we're walking into, but it's alive. It feels alive." Samir, gripping his pack tightly, glanced nervously at the walls. "If this corruption is conscious, We're going to be facing more than just a strange machine. Then we face it together, Reef said. At last, the corridor opened into a colossal chamber. The sight froze them where they stood. In the center of the room was a massive, pulsating structure, rooted into the floor like the heart of a monstrous tree. It was black and jagged, covered in the same dark veins they had seen earlier, glowing faintly red with every pulse. The corruption wasn't just growing from it, it was the corruption. It pulsed like a living organism, breathing in and out with a low, rumbling hum that echoed in their bones. Sarai appeared, her image flickering near the structure. But she wasn't as she had been before. Her glowing form was dim, unstable, like she was barely holding herself together. "This is the heart," she said, her voice weaker than they had ever heard it. "It is my core. It is my cage. And it is where the corruption grows strongest." Rafi tightened his grip on his weapon. "And how do we destroy it?" Sarai's head tilted slightly. "You cannot destroy it. Not without destroying me. My makers bound me to the heart. If you kill one, you kill both." Lila stepped forward. "Then tell us how to free you." Sarai was silent for a long moment, her golden eyes flickering. "I do not know. I was never meant to be freed." Reef clenched his fists. "Then we improvise, before anyone could move." The ground shook. The red glow from the heart grew brighter, and black tendrils shot out from it, slamming into the floor and walls like the arms of a living monster. "Commander," Samir shouted. "It's waking up." The tendrils twisted and formed shapes, twisted humanoid figures, their bodies shifting and twitching like nightmares given form. Their glowing red eyes locked onto the humans. "They are its soldiers," Sarai said. "It will not let you leave." "Then we fight," Reef barked. The first of the corrupted figures lunged, its limbs moving with inhuman speed. Reef barely managed to block it with his rifle, pushing it back while Rafi swung a heavy tool into another creature, shattering part of its face. "Stay together," Reef ordered. Samir scrambled to open his pack, pulling out an improvised energy charge. "If we can overload the heart's core, it might destabilize the corruption long enough for us to finish it." "Do it," Reef shouted. Lila fired her sidearm at the tendrils reaching toward them, but the shots barely slowed them down. "Commander, we can't hold them forever." Reef blocked another strike, gritting his teeth. "Just give Samir time." Samir ran toward the heart, sliding under a sweeping tendril. He planted the charge at its base, his hands trembling as he armed it. 30 seconds. He shouted. The corrupted creatures shrieked. Rushing toward him, Reef charged forward, slamming one of them aside. "Over my body!" he roared, firing at another as Rafi joined him, swinging his tool like a club. Lila dragged Samir back as the charge began to hum with dangerous energy. "It's going to blow." The heart pulsed faster, and Sarai's voice echoed through the chamber, louder and sharper than before. "Stop! If you destroy it, I will die." Reef didn't look back. "Then tell us how to stop the corruption without killing you." Sarai hesitated. "You cannot." "Then this ends now." Reef shouted. The charge detonated. A deafening blast shook the chamber, throwing them all to the ground. The heart screeched, its red veins flashing violently as cracks spread across its black surface. The corrupted soldiers writhed and shrieked before collapsing into pools of dark sludge. But the heart was still alive. Sarai flickered again, her form almost gone. "You are killing me," she whispered. Reef dragged himself to his feet, breathing hard. "Then help us finish it. Help us end the corruption." For a moment, Sarai's glowing form stared at him silently. Then she nodded. "I will release the locks," she said softly. "I will open myself to you. Strike my core. End it." Lila froze. "Sarai, you'll die." "I was made to protect," Sarai said. "But my makers are gone. My purpose is finished. Perhaps this is what I was meant for." Her golden eyes dimmed. "And me, and end this corruption." Reef hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "Do it." Sarai raised her arms, and the heart's surface split open, revealing a glowing golden core deep within the blackness. "Now," she shouted. ARIF charged, grabbing one of the fallen corrupted weapons and driving it deep into the heart's core. The heart let out an unearthly scream, the walls shaking violently as the red glow turned blinding white. "Run," Reef ordered. The crew sprinted for the exit, the chamber collapsing around them. The sound of tearing metal and breaking stone roared in their ears as they reached the corridor. Lila looked back one last time. Sarai stood in front of the heart, her glowing form fading away, her eyes fixed on them. "Thank you," she whispered. Then she was gone. The chamber exploded in a blinding flash, the shockwave throwing them forward. They crashed to the floor, coughing and gasping as the ground went still. Silence. When they finally rose, the red veins on the walls were gone. The oppressive weight in the air had lifted. The corruption was dead. "Commander," Samir said softly. "She's gone." Reef stared at the ruined corridor ahead, his jaw tight. "She chose it. She ended it." Lila closed her eyes. "She saved us." Reef didn't reply. He simply turned toward the long, winding path back to their ship. "Let's go home," he said. And without another word, the survivors of Sarai's games walked away from the ruins of the station, leaving behind the last echo of a machine who had learned what it meant to protect.